There is a difference between being alone and loneliness. Understand that. So when you are in this period of isolation, even when God brings you out of that period of isolation, you may just go to work, come home, and go to work and come home. That doesn't mean you have a boring life. Pull up a chair, pull up a seat, because we finna get ready to eat that spiritual food, baby. First and foremost, shout out to the Most High, the God of Israel. It's your boy 88, back with another video. Today we're going to be talking about chosen ones. Why you don't have no friends? It's not because you're not cool. It's not because you're lame. It's because people, they not going to like you when you change. Imagine, bro, you're a dude, right? You say, man, I just got these chicks, right? I just got these chicks. Your homies, your ex-homies per se, they're going to be like, oh yeah, they're going to be happy for you. But when you say, I gave my life to the Lord, I'm changing for the better, I'm choosing to be set apart, they're going to look at you like, what? Excuse me, come again, sir? Imagine you're a woman. You say, I'm not trying to do all the casual fornication. I'm not trying to live like how I once was. Your female friends are like, sis, what? What you talking about? You acting funny. You acting different. Nah, baby, we ain't acting funny. We ain't acting different. I guess you could say we kind of acting different. But it's a positive change. So you're not going to be happy for me when I'm making a positive change. A lot of times, I know this video is about why chosen ones not going to have that many friends. You might have no friend. You might be like SpongeBob. He was just chilling with the chip and the penny and the button. I think that's correct. But that may be your best friend. But truly, you're locked in with Jesus. You're locked in with the Holy Spirit. You feel what I'm saying? That SpongeBob reference kind of funny. But you're locked in with Jesus. You're locked in with the Most High. You may not have that many people that you can really connect with and resonate. Is this ring a bell? If what I'm talking is making sense, make sure y'all pound that like button and stay to the end. You're not going to have that many friends. But I'm not going to say that you're not going to have any. You may really get one good friend. You may get two. But if you can find one good friend, two good friends maybe, if you find three, you hit the jackpot, baby. Because this life is not meant just to go through it lone wolf. But if you have to, God definitely prepares you to go through it alone. But by no means is it meant to be alone. Because you may be physically around people. You may be in the mix. You may be going to the store. You may be just out and about. And you have all these people around you, but you still feel alone. Does that sound familiar? I can relate to all this. Everything that I'm telling you, I can relate. I've had friends come and go, and I don't try to hold on to that. Because if God is removing something out of my life, it's meant for it to be out of my life, and I'm not going to fight that. In the past, I used to try to fight it, and it used to keep me in shambles, and it used to diminish my value of life per se. Well, the quality of my life per se. It used to diminish that. A lot of times you can try to have relationships with people just because, you know what? You're saying, I've been isolated for a while. Let me go out and try to talk to people. And when you go out and try to talk to people and make friends, you see off the jump. You test their spirits, because how do we know a tree? We know a tree by its fruits. A bad tree cannot bear good fruits, and vice versa. We start testing their spirits, right? A lot of times when we're testing the people's spirits, they're not up to par. And not to say that we're perfect, not to say that we're better than anybody, but it's like when God is putting you in a certain position, when God is isolating you, when God is showing you what is of him, you got certain standards now versus when you were in the world and your standards were just, I'll take whatever I can get. But now it's not like that. So a lot of people, even myself, I would much rather be by myself and spend time in my alone time, because when I am alone physically, I'm never really alone in the spirit, in the Holy Spirit. There is a difference between being alone and loneliness. Understand that. So when you are in this period of isolation, even when God brings you out of that period of isolation, you may just go to work, come home, and go to work and come home. That doesn't mean you have a boring life. That doesn't mean you have a boring life. There's just some things that people can't get access to, and that's okay. That life that you've been building, that period of isolation that God has been using you to take you from isolation to elevation to triumph, is not for everyone. It was more so just meant for you. And like I said, this can go for family too. Everybody's not going to understand, but God understands. Cast your burdens upon him. If you have to talk to him, Do that. Don't go out venting to other people when you're mad at the world per se, when you're not able to make friends. It was meant that way, my sister. It was meant that way, my king. Because the one thing about rooms, right? The one thing about rooms, they have vents. And when you vent to one room, that circulation, the things that you were saying can go from one room to the next. So always be mindful of who you're disclosing your information with. Always be mindful. Don't ever tell them too much. A lot of times, if you let somebody talk long enough, they'll tell you everything you need to know. Test the tree by its fruits. I love y'all. You're going to find some friends. You're going to find that spiritual family. God is going to bless you with those people. If it's a husband that you're seeking, if you're a woman, keep grinding. Keep doing your thing. Keep being obedient. God will provide that. If it's a wife that you're seeking, keep going. God will provide that for you too, King. If you abide, he will provide. If you abide in his presence and be obedient, he will provide for you and overflow your cup full of blessings. I love y'all. Shout out to the God of Israel. Peace.